everybody was like, okay, Lil Baby allegedly going to be locked up, rumor, you know what I'm saying? Not too many people took it serious. Only a couple of blogs were talking about it or whatnot. But then this thing grew legs. I'm going to keep it real, man. And next thing you know, it was looking bad for Lil Baby out here.
Bruh.
Now, at this time, it still looks kind of crazy. I'm going to keep it real because Lil Baby, you know, he's been quiet, but the news has been otherwise, man. The news has been saying a lot of things. And what we going to get to is this news story from the local Fox News affiliate there in Atlanta and what they've actually been saying about Lil Baby. So, man, let's look at a little bit of this for a second here real quick. Oh, and welcome to the chat, man. Don't be scared of the chat. Talk in the chat. Shout out your city. Do what you got to do, man. We're going to be here for a second. You know what I mean?
Atlanta police now blame the deaths of 2 Atlanta teens last summer on a violent street gang in our community. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News at 5. I'm Tom Haynes.
I'm Courtney Bryant. Just hours ago, APD announced they now have charged 7 people with the murders. Fox 5's Tyler Fingert is live at Atlanta Police Headquarters.
All right, so far we get the gist. There's been 7 people who were accused of a murder. Now, this was back in February, right? So about a little over a month ago, right? So these guys were accused of a murder, a gruesome murder, man, of some kids. To be honest with you, 2 of them were brothers. One of the people survived. We'll get to, but man, this is a crazy situation to be real.
Tell us what we're finding out, Tyler.
Yeah, Courtney, good evening to you. Investigators say 2 13-year-olds were innocent victims caught in a gang retaliation shooting while celebrating a birthday.
The overall theme in this case is grown men playing gangster.
Atlanta police say these are the innocent.
He said grown men playing gangster. Now, some of the real G's are going to take offense to that, I'm pretty sure. But, man, when it comes to a situation where you having shootouts and kids are losing their life, man, don't nobody win in that situation, bruh. So let's go.
Faces of gang violence in Atlanta. 2 of them, 13-year-old boys Jacody Davis and Lamont Freeman, were killed. And 11-year-old Dontavius Davis was wounded last July in a shooting on Spark Street. APD says Freeman was killed on his 13th birthday.
Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes.
Now think about that, man. It's your 13th birthday. Remember your 13th birthday? You probably went outside, played, had the time of your life, man. Your first kind of inkling of almost being a teenager, and this young man lost his life. Tragic, man. Tragic situation.
Before gang violence ultimately took his life.
During an afternoon news conference, investigators blamed the deadly shooting on a local rapper. They said the attack was in retaliation for the rapper entering a rival gang's territory to film a music video.
Now, okay. I get it, man. They're frustrated with what took place, and I get all that, right? But them blaming Lil Baby for this situation, for shooting a music video in somebody else's hood, I don't know, man. It seems like I don't agree with that. It seems like you really should be pointing at the people who committed the shooting, because just because somebody dissed your hood, they went to your neighborhood, they ended up shooting a music video in your hood or whatever, and y'all got something going on in the streets. Your retaliation, your actions are still to be held responsible for what you did, man, which is, shoot up a whole apartment complex with kids in there and end up shooting some kids, man, killing 2. So, man, I know what they're trying to paint Lil Baby as for shooting that music video is the villain, but I think they're being a little too hard on him, even though what he did didn't help the situation.
Subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings, and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions, and you know who you are.
Authorities say a high-ranking member of the Goodfellas.
Now, they didn't say Lil Baby by name, but I get it isn't even I guess. You can see it everywhere. There's this Goodfellas gang who has a subset called OMF, I want to say. Now, OMF and the Goodfellas gang are the same, and they're allegedly into it with Lil Baby and 4PF in the streets. And it's gotten violent, and it's been shootings back and forth, and there's been murders already. So, this already been going there. And these two kids were just a casualty and some innocent bystanders in a situation that they had no part in.
Gang who was incarcerated orchestrated the attack using a smuggled cell phone. Following those instructions, the suspects opened fire at an apartment complex where the 3 young teens were gathered to celebrate Freeman's birthday. Police say they weren't the targets.
These kids were innocent victims. So when we talk about the gang involvement, these 2 13-year-olds and this 11-year-old, they didn't have a gang involvement.
Those arrested were identified as Keontae Sanders, Richard Hollis, Reginald Thomas, DeKeithion Mobley, Marcus Crawford.
Now, Keontae Sanders, was that a dude?
And Allie
Hold up, I want to go back.
Caldwell. The final 2 were arrested.
That person on the top, is that a dude? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be funny, but I guess, you know what I'm saying? They did say the guys that were arrested, but let's go.
Tuesday, police had some tough talk for those responsible.
Goodfellas criminal street gang being one of the most hyper-violent gangs in the city of Atlanta. And we will pursue you relentlessly in making sure that we keep this city safe and suppressing violence.
So it seems like this Goodfellas gang was really, really getting active out there in the streets. And as we get into the news story, you're going to see where there's been several occasions where there's been shootings back and forth between this crew and Lil Baby's crew, 4PF, allegedly. Now, the wild part about this is Lil Baby has tried his best to separate himself from the whole 4PF mantra, the whole 4PF label. He doesn't want to do anything with 4PF. As soon as Young Thug and them started to get locked up 2 years ago. Remember, when Young Thug and Gunna and all the YSL guys got locked up, there was a list floating around social media and floating around Atlanta that listed all the different gangs. Now, the crazy part about that list, even though it said that these people were next for RICO indictments or these people were next to get arrested, that didn't all pan out to be true because Lil Baby and them didn't get a RICO or an indictment immediately after that. But what was true was a lot of those gangs on there were official gangs that operate in and out of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of those things probably shook up a lot of the crews who were on that list. It was like, whoa. They talking about throwing that RICO at us? Okay, time to re-strategize and do something different. You know what I mean?
And the investigation continues. There is a $50,000 reward for information about this case.
Okay, so they got a reward even though they have people in custody, which is what it is. You know what I mean? Typical type of thing that we usually see in these cases. But what's crazy is artists of Lil Baby's caliber, man. Now, Lil Baby, be it, you know, he's had a slight decline in his productivity and who he was in the rap game. But, man, when it comes to the top of the top, he's at the top of the rap game. You know what I mean? Anything he drops is going to get people to view it or listen or at least give it a chance, no matter how they feel about his previous projects. And his features are still some of the biggest features on most people's projects. So, man, Lil Baby is one of them ones. So for him to get wrapped up in a RICO indictment is borderline crazy, man. Like, for him to go down, and it seems like a cycle. And it seems like all the rappers who popped at that time, who was promoting being in the streets and also promoting being a rap artist, man, they starting to reap the repercussions of that. And not to say that any of them did anything wrong or that they committed any crimes that they're being accused of, but this ain't a good look, bruh. Especially for Lil Baby when he's at a point where he's trying to do like not a career resurgence. Yeah, let's be real. This is a career resurgence that he's trying to do, man. You know what I mean? Because lately it's been on. Ever since, and I hate to go there, but ever since he got into it with DJ Academics, man, it's been all downhill. I have yet to see somebody get into it with DJ Academics and their career blossom. They do good. You know what I mean? Anybody who had like a direct back and forth with him, it's always ended in their career doing bad. And that ain't me glazing Academics. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? But man, it just doesn't seem like a smart idea for your career if you're a rapper. And in Lil Baby's case, man, everything since that moment has gone down. I'm going to keep it real. All right, man, I see a couple of y'all in here today, and I see a couple of y'all in the chat. But y'all do me a favor. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button if you're in here right now. Make sure you smack that like button for those of you who already have. You you already know. You the real MVP. You know what I'm saying? Now, back to the story. So let's look at the news story going on here with this Lil Baby situation. You know what I mean? Or the news story that was attached to that video that we just reviewed, I should say. So, all right. So this is the news story that was published about a month and a half ago. Now, it said arrest warrant confirms Atlanta rapper Lil Baby's connection to boys' murders. Now, a lot of people mistook that when this story first dropped, was like, dang, so the crew that Lil Baby is a part of was responsible for the shooting of 2 boys? No, this is actually their ops. This is actually the people that they're allegedly into it with in the streets are the ones that are being accused of taking the life of these 2 young kids, man. One 13 years old and the other 11 years old. And it's a crew called the Goodfellas gang who's allegedly got a subset called OMF. So just like how you would have like a Crip gang and then they would have sets, you know, and those sets would have subsets. So say like you have the Crips, then you have the Rolling 60s, which is a set. They'd have a subset Overhill, right? So you have that subset of the gang. They're saying that OMF is sort of the same deal, right? Now the brief. So this is just a briefing of what we've already learned from that news story or that news video. The deadly gang feud claims 2 young lives. A violent gang conflict between 4PF and OMF led to the fatal shooting on July 2nd, 2024 in Southwest Atlanta, killing 2 13-year-olds and wounding an 11-year-old. So the 11-year-old, I think, took a shot in the leg, but ended up surviving the situation. Now, police arrest 7 in connection with teen murders. Atlanta police linked the shooting to an ongoing gang feud and arrest 7 suspects, citing the incident as retaliation for previous violence. Now, these 7 suspects are the people that you might have seen in the videos that have been circulating around in the courtroom, where the DA has been throwing Lil Baby and 4PF's name all over the place. And there have been people who have spoken out against this DA, one specifically being Young Thug, man. So in continuance, let's say it says, police arrest 7 in connection, okay, my bad. Lil Baby's name surfaces in gang dispute. Authorities allege shooting stemmed from escalating gang tensions following a 2024 music video shoot involving rapper Lil Baby, though he was not directly injured in the shooting. Now that's the crazy part. When the casualties of the shooting or the people who end up losing their life in these situations are innocents, like kids. 2 13-year-olds die and an 11-year-old gets killed. Come on, man. There ain't nowhere in the world that should be happening or that should be commonplace, man. But for some reason, in the world of hip hop, this stuff is oh so common, man. A lot of this is just, it seems straight out of a movie sometimes, and that's not trying to promote it or make it a positive thing, but it's wild how these things play out, to be real with you, man. Now, a gang related dispute between 2 criminal organizations culminated in the fatal shooting on July 2nd, leaving 2 young teenagers dead, 3rd wounded outside of an apartment complex in Southwest Atlanta. Police say the attack was part of an escalating feud between 4 Pockets Full, also known as 4PF, and Only My Family gang. So, man, at one point, we're going to run out of acronyms for these gangs, man. They're going to run this OMF. I said, okay, there used to be OTF, Only the Family. This is Only My Family. So a lot of people just, it seems like we're running out of dang names for the, okay, man, let's stop. I want to, oh, there you go. All right, so, man, let's continue on with the story. Now, Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shinerbaum held a press conference on Wednesday to announce the arrest of 7 gang members they believe are responsible for the boys' deaths. These include Quante Sanders, Richard Hollis, Reginald Thomas, DeKeithion Mobley, Marcus Crawford, and Traydon Crawford, and Ollie Caldwell. During the same press conference, APD Homicide Commander Ralph Woolford connected the murders to the cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper who decided to shoot a music video in a place he knew he should not have been. Once again, I ain't feeling the way that they trying to put this on Lil Baby, man. Yeah, he went to somebody else's hood to shoot a music video. Is that disrespectful? Yeah, we haven't been living under a rock. We understand hip hop. We get it when people are being disrespectful or whatnot. But to put this all on Lil Baby like it's his fault, and I hate to be like I'm glazing Lil Baby or sticking up for him, but that's borderline ridiculous, man. He didn't provoke, he might have provoked a reaction, but he didn't provoke that reaction. He didn't provoke them going to that hood to a 4PF stronghold or whatever, this apartment complex, and shooting it up and killing them kids, man. So, I don't know. That just rubs me the wrong way, man. Now, incident overview. Okay. At approximately 12:34 a.m., what in the world was them little kids doing out at 12:34 a.m.? And I'm not trying to blame the victim here, but what in the world are they doing at 12:30 in the morning, even if it's summertime, out playing, whatever, man. And they in the hood, so, it is what it is. Atlanta police responded to reports of gunfire at the Sparks apartment on Sparks Street Southwest. Upon arrival, officers discovered 3 juvenile males had been shot. 13-year-old Lamont Freeman was pronounced dead at the scene. Dang. While 13-year-old Jacody Davis succumbed to his injuries after being transported to Ingleston Hospital. 11-year-old Dontavius Davis survived with a gunshot wound to his foot. Now think about how his life and his story is going to play out, knowing that he was there when his older brother got killed. You know what I'm saying? Was shot and killed allegedly by these guys pictured right here in this mug shot or whatnot, man. And crazy enough, I hate to go there, but I'm going to go there. All right, man, y'all bear with me.
Bruh.
Man, a lot of these shooters, because if you look at the whole situation that went on in Memphis with Sauce Walker and Say So P, right? You look at the shooter in that situation. These cats, man, they be having that look in their eye like they just already gave up on life, bro. They be having that look in their eye like they could care less or that they own something, man. Half of these cats do be looking like they own something. And I know that might sound lame, might sound a little square, but dog, you can't convince me that the rapid increase in all these pills and all these drugs and all that stuff being used and all the shootings and this drilling and the drill culture and all that aren't connected, man. I feel like they're heavily connected in a way, man. I feel like all that pill use and all the drinking and all that stuff numbs these people to where they do something crazy. And that is not trying to take the responsibility off of the individuals who carried out this horrific shooting. I'm just saying, I think these things all coincide. Like once they start on them drugs and start not giving a care, because you see it with Bloodhound Lil Jeff. Look at Bloodhound Lil Jeff prior to him trying to say, I jumped off the porch. Dude didn't jump off the porch until he was like 17 or 18. By that time, people are already starting to think, this ain't really for me no more. All right, I'm going to wait out the senior year of high school. You know what I'm saying? At 13, 14, 15, people are all in, 16, with the gang stuff I'm talking specifically. By that time, people ain't trying to jump out there usually. They trying to say, maybe I do need to go a separate way. My big homies and stuff, all they do is go to jail and prison, man. And, this don't seem like the move. That's when Bloodhound Lil Jeff jumped out. And similar, you saw his increase. He was so bold in using drugs. He went on a public platform, bro. He went on, what's my guy in Chicago? DJ U's platform and openly used drugs on the platform, bro. That just tells you right there that these cats be in a point where it seems like they just give up on life completely. All right, enough of my rant, man.
Bruh.
But you ain't gonna tell me those two things ain't connected. But the story continues by saying this is the sequence of events, right? So according to arrest warrants obtained by Fox 5 Atlanta, witness reported that Davis brothers had left their apartment just before midnight to wish Freeman a happy birthday when they were ambushed. Surveillance footage for multiple locations confirmed the presence of 2 suspects' vehicles, a white Nissan Maxima and a gray Nissan sedan, that circled the apartment complex twice before 6 armed individuals exited and opened fire. All right, so they circled the apartment complex 2 times in these Nissan vehicles, right? Then Okay, what was the point in doing that recon or doing that looking and seeing who was out there if you were just going to jump out and all just start shooting at the apartment complex, not caring who's out there? Like, what kind of dummy mission is this? So your plan is to just go up to an apartment complex and shoot it up willy-nilly? Of course there's kids in there. Most or especially low-rent apartment complexes or, apartment complexes with government subsidies and stuff like that, it's going to be a lot of single moms in there, dog. It's going to be a lot of kids in there. So to pull up and to shoot there recklessly, dog, there is no way you don't hit somebody who wasn't your intended target, man. So like I said, this goes back to all that drug use and stuff, I think, man. Like these fools were tripping. Now, investigators recovered multiple shell casings at the crime scene, including a 5 millimeter, 7 millimeter, and 223 caliber rounds. The victims were struck multiple times with forensic evidence indicating that Freeman suffered a gunshot wound to the head, while Jacody Davis was shot in the chest. So this little boy was shot in the head, and this other little boy was shot in the chest by these dudes just showing up and pulling. Well, okay, back to this point, bro.
Bruh.
We got to do better, man. What was the point in circling around the block and watching the block and seeing who was out there if you're going to jump out and just shoot and the only people you hit is these little innocent little kids, man? It just doesn't make any sense. Now, I know, man, a lot of this stuff is internal or beefs that have been going on for a little while. And it's going to get to that in a second. So let's get to that. Now, what started this conflict based on what the news knows there in Atlanta? The backstory, authorities say the two of the criminal street gangs in Atlanta, 4PF, 4 Pockets Full, and OMF, Only My Family, are known to have a historical conflict connected to the 2021 death of 4PF associate Marcus Big Mark Holland. So Marcus Big Mark Holland was allegedly shot by somebody from OMF, right? And that's what started this whole beef to begin with. Now, OMF is a subset of Goodfellas criminal street gang, police say. Goodfellas was reportedly established in the early 2000s and is often referred to as the Mob, La Familia, and La Cosa Nostra. So heavily mob influenced stuff, man, which is Italian, La Cosa Nostra, which is Italian for this thing of ours. Every criminal activity in which the Goodfellas engage in is allegedly geared toward making money and protecting their ability to do so. That already sets the language up for RICO by saying that they're doing something in pursuance of the gang or for the benefit of the gang, right? Now, 4PF is known as Atlanta-based rapper Lil Baby's personal brand and motto. Even though we've seen in recent years that Lil Baby has been trying to separate himself from from 4PF. He's been trying to distance himself as much as possible from 4PF and try to establish something new. I think even his record label made him go from 4PF to Glass Window Entertainment, as they say here in this news story, I should say, man. What's even crazier is the fact that Lil Baby has been quiet. You never hear him kicking up dust. You never hear him dissing ops directly. You never hear him talking about these cats. But regardless of all that, it seems like these two homicides of these innocent kids might get him reeled all the way into this, man. And like I said earlier at the beginning, this all started off as a rumor. Blogs were reporting it, and people were like, most mainstream was, even if you looked it up, like on Snoops or anything like that, they were like, nah, this is just a rumor that's been going on forever, because it's been going on forever back when YSL got arrested, right? But it seems like, man, this thing is really growing legs, and Lil Baby might really, really want to seek some legal attention or something like that. Now, ongoing gang violence in Atlanta, what are they saying? Authorities say the conflict between 4PF and OMF has resulted in multiple homicides and shootings, especially since May 2024. According to police, Lil Baby, whose real name is Dominique Jones, went to the 2100 block of Verbena Street Northwest at the time to shoot a music video. That area is known to be frequented by OMF members and those associated with Dixie Court. 3 people were shot that day, a 23-year-old man, a 24-year-old man, and a 27-year-old man. They all survived. Lil Baby was not injured in the shooting. So even during that time, there was a shooting that took place. And I remember the reports that came out about the shooting. And Lil Baby was on the scene, and then I believe he fled the music video shoot, man. However, the feud between the two gangs intensified following the incident and led to gang members engaging in retaliatory attacks throughout Atlanta. There was no indication in arrest warrants seen by Fox 5 that Lil Baby ordered any of the crimes committed. Now, the crazy part about this one on the OMF side, they're saying there was a guy who was in prison who allegedly ordered the hit or the shooting that took place at the apartment complex where the two young kids lost their life. Now, one of those attacks included the murder of this is going back to June 2029, right? Now, one of those attacks include the murder of OMF member Trayvonte Turner on June 29th, 2024 at 9 Peyton Place, Southwest. Now, these are the three shootings that took place this is one of the three shootings that took place after Lil Baby shot that music video in his ops hood, right? Or his alleged ops. Now, following Turner's death, his cousin and gang leader, Queonte Midnight Sanders, currently incarcerated at Hancock State Prison, reportedly coordinated revenge against 4PF members through a series of phone calls and social media messages. So this guy by the name of Midnight, who's a heavyweight within OMF from prison and using social media messages on his cell phone, ordered the hit or the shooting that took place that took the life of these kids. Now, investigators uncovered extensive communication between Sanders and several OMF affiliates, including Ali Lee Caldwell, Traydon Crawford, and Reginald Yano Thomas, discussing plans to retaliate against the person they believe was responsible. So this guy, he's a heavyweight in OMF. He's in his jail cell and he's got a cell phone. He reaches out to these guys who have already been arrested in connection to the shooting and tells them, hey, let's set up this retaliation shooting, and puts the play in motion. Now, those communications identified their target as John J. Shot Smith, who's known to frequent the Spark Street area and reportedly has a close relationship to Lil Baby. So they linked that shooting, OMF, they believe that shooting was carried on by this guy, John Shot, who is one of Lil Baby's close associates, one of his homeboys. So they feel like he was the one who carried out the shooting, and this was all in retaliation for that shooting that took the big heavyweight guy, Midnight's cousin. Now, whom police referred to as the 4PF's gang leader in their warrant. So in the warrant, they named Lil Baby as the gang leader, as you see here, man. And this is kind of like their narrative version between the police, and you can see this is taken out of the police report, what they typed up of the events that took place after the shooting there on the video shoot on Verbena Street and all that. Now, this is what led to the arrest, they're saying. Now, on August 21st of last year, police recovered the stolen white Nissan Maxima. So the car that was used in the shooting of the young kids was reportedly recovered by police about a month later. Now, the brothers, Now, further forensic analysts linked shell casings found at the scene to previous gang-related shootings across the city. So I'm guessing they probably found some shells. They probably found some shells in that car. The car was probably stolen off the rip. We see that happen most times, if not every time. The car is initially stolen. Once the car is stolen, they use it for all these shootings or whatnot and discard the car somewhere. Be it another city, another state. I don't know what goes on in Memphis because some of those cars are never found again, except for the Young Dolph shooting. They found that car. But the car that was used and I know I'm going off topic here, in the Big Juke shooting, they plastered that thing everywhere and they never found that car again, man. So I don't know what these guys did, but it is what it is. Let's leave that where it is, bro.
Bruh.
Now, investigators also intercepted phone conversations between gang members discussing the incident and efforts to cover their involvement after the boys' deaths. Richard R.J. Hollis, a known OMF associate, was overheard instructing associates to destroy evidence, including a pair of shoes and social media accounts. So there was a guy who was trying to cover up their tracks, this guy by the name of RJ. And he was basically trying to tell everybody what they need to get rid of, but at the same time, all his communications were being tracked. So he kind of just led them to exactly what they needed to find. Additionally, a confidential informant provided information from a third party implicating DeKeithion J-Man Mobley in the shooting. The informant told police they had learned through a relative that J-Man really wanted Lil Baby, but it was hard to touch him. Instead, he was hoping to catch another individual associated with 4PF. Now that's some crazy information to find out there. So all while going through and getting this information from their snitch or this confidential informant, they come to find out this guy J-Man, he was really on the hunt for Lil Baby. Lil Baby should be thanking his stars that this information came out. You know what I'm saying? My bad, not funny.
Bruh.
Now, this dude was looking for Lil Baby, but couldn't find Lil Baby and ended up gearing for his close associate. Because I guess Lil Baby was out here moving right, because he said he was just hard to get at. Now, the informant claimed that Mobley was unaware that the victims were children until after the shooting. So why in the world they circled the block 2 times and start shooting if they weren't sure it was the person they were intended to shoot? I'm thinking they just wanted to leave there by saying they shot at the place or shot the apartments up, and these innocent kids, they probably didn't even see them at the time. Now, I'm not trying to give them any type of leeway or make any type of leeway for what the mistakes that they made or the crimes that they carried out. It just seems crazy that they would keep shooting even though it was just some kids out there. The investigation also revealed that Sanders repeatedly told his girlfriend about seeking revenge against rapper Lil Baby and his plan to extort him for $5 million upon his release from prison. So the guy, Sanders, and I believe Sanders was also the guy Midnight. Yep, Sanders is Quanante Midnight. So the guy Midnight, he was allegedly some big dog from OMF, the guy who put this all in motion because his cousin got killed as a result of that music video shoot that Lil Baby had. His plan was either to get Lil Baby killed or allegedly extort Lil Baby for $5 million after he got out. You know what I mean? Now, we don't have to go into all this about who Lil Baby is because we're all hip hop fans. We understand who Lil Baby is and we understand the importance of what he's done in the music industry. But I want to go to a post that was made on social media that details what came out in court just this week. Now, hopefully you guys see this, and if not, I can read it for you. Now, a gang investigator by the name of Marissa Viverito shows wiretap evidence in court allegedly proving that Lil Baby put bounties on people's heads. Now, before we get into that, back to this point. Some might say, if he's an op of Lil Baby, they're into it, right? How in the world is he going to extort him for $5 million, right? Remember this part right here. This guy, Midnight, that's his nickname, last name Sanders, repeatedly told his girlfriend about seeking revenge against rapper Lil Baby and his plan to extort him for $5 million upon his release from prison. Only way he could extort Lil Baby is if he knew something that Lil Baby didn't want to get out there, allegedly. I'm not saying Lil Baby did any of this, man. For me, Lil Baby is innocent until proven guilty, but it feels like the dude Midnight felt like he had some dirt on Lil Baby at that time. Now let's continue.
Oh, what's going on? Man, like, come on, bro, you know what's finna go on. Like, how the hell you can, you know what I'm saying? They ain't even like that, man. Them got tickets on a lot of these folks, I'm telling you.
We just heard somebody say these folks got tickets on these people. We know what's going on. First of all, who was that said that about the tickets?
Unc, the unidentified male that was being referred to as Unc.
And he's speaking with Mr. Sanders.
Correct.
Okay, so they don't know who the guy Unc is. Shoot. So midnight, the boss guy from OMF, or the guy with the most pull over there at OMF, who's been calling the shots from behind bars, right? He tells the guy Unc on the phone, and I don't know who Unc is. They don't even know who Unc is. Hey, he's been putting tickets on people's heads. Now, tickets, we can only assume that tickets means that he's putting bags on people's heads, allegedly. He's alleging that Lil Baby is the one out here putting bags on people's heads.
And what, in your experience, do you know what tickets are?
A price on somebody's head.
What do you mean by what do you mean on somebody's head? What is that?
Like a bounty.
Okay. To have them arrested?
Harmed. Or
And who were they referring to in that portion of the call?
they were saying that they had heard that Dominique Jones had tickets on a lot of people's heads.
Dominique Jones wanted to have people harmed.
Correct.
All right, moving on.
Man, so this phone call is obviously being traced. And there's an informant. I don't know if it's the guy Unc that this dude Midnight is in. He's in jail at this time. So whoever he's talking to them probably from a cell phone that he got while he's in jail or through social media. And somebody's recording this. I don't know if they were already tipped off on that phone and that phone was placed in there and they was already bugged, but somebody was recording this call and it ended up in the DA's hands, is all I'm saying. So, you know what I mean?
Bruh.
Oh yeah, before we continue, shout out to everybody who hit that like button. If you're in here right now, man, let's run them likes up, right? All right, back to the content.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's going on? Man, them like, come on, bro, you know what's finna go on. Like, how the hell you can, you know what I'm saying? They ain't even like that, man. Them got tickets on a lot of these folks, I'm telling you.
We just heard somebody say these folks got tickets on these people. We know what's going on. First of all, who was that said that about the tickets?
Unc, the unidentified male that was being referred to as Unc.
And he's speaking with Mr. Sanders.
Correct.
And what, in your experience, do you know what tickets are?
A price on somebody's head.
What do you mean by what do you mean on somebody's head? What is that?
Like a bounty.
Okay. To have them arrested?
Harmed.
He said a bounty to have them arrested? Nah, bro. Like, come on, man. Let's be for real.
And who were they referring to in that portion of the call?
They were saying that they had heard that Dominique Jones had tickets on a lot of people's heads.
Dominique Jones wanted to have people harmed.
Correct.
All right, moving on.
Dang, man. Now, the fact that this was said in court and it's on record is ugly for Lil Baby. I'm gonna keep it real, man.
Bruh.
That means they already have all this collected. Remember, when they come with these RICO indictments, it's always a bunch of evidence that they have first to prove the RICO, that people were doing things for the betterment of the gang, right? So they already trying to build that case that somebody was doing things for the betterment of 4PF. Now let's assume they're building that case against Lil Baby. Somebody on tape, wiretap, and let's say one of those people is an alleged confidential informant or something like that. Confirming that, I don't know if that's enough evidence to go before the grand jury or whatnot, but it doesn't look good, man. It doesn't look good. I'll say that much. All right.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's going on? Man, them like, come on, bro, you know what's finna go on. Like, how the hell you can, you know what I'm saying? They ain't even like that, man. Them got tickets on a lot of these folks, I'm telling you.
We just
Yeah, man. This ain't good, man. This ain't good. Now that information and some other information has been circulating, and this right here, this is a page that I've been looking at, and they've been keeping track of a lot of the things that's going on in this OMF situation, and they've got a little bit more details in this video. So what I want to do is first read this. So Streets Work 85 North by Dre Hover, man. I want to give him his credit first off for the work that he's doing, right? And then I want to play.
One by one, the suspects charged in the 2024 murders of...
And then I want to play this for you guys. And hopefully you guys can see that.
13-year-old Lamont Freeman and his friend 13-year-old Jacody Davis took their seats inside a Fulton County courtroom for day 3 of a preliminary hearing, which will determine if there's sufficient evidence for the men to stand trial.
Okay, so basically they're in court right now to see if there's enough evidence against them to stand trial. Most likely they are going to come back with, yes, there's enough evidence against them to stand trial. Let's be real.
So I think that we are ready to begin.
An APD detective who asked us not to show her face because she's involved in undercover investigations took the stand for more than 2 hours. She testified that investigators used social media posts and wiretaps to determine that the 7 defendants are members or associates of the Goodfellas criminal street gang. Police say the shooting stemmed from a gang war sparked by rapper Lil Baby, who they...
Dang, they shot that joint up, man. Let's see.
Shooting stemmed from a gang war sparked by rapper Lil Baby, who they claim is affiliated with the rival criminal street gang 4PF. Last May, police say the hip-hop superstar filmed a music video in their territory and multiple people were shot, which investigators say sparked a gang war. The attorney for Lil Baby called those claims complete and total nonsense and added that his client had absolutely nothing to do with those shootings. During cross-examination today, defense attorney Brian Tevis criticized the investigation and claimed that
Now, I'm tripping. At the beginning, I asked, the Quayente Sanders, a.k.a. Midnight, that's the person right here on the very bottom. And let me see. That's this guy right here on the very bottom. So he's allegedly the boss man in this situation who reached out to Mobley and Hollis, these 2 guys, in order to get the shooting carried out that ended up resulting in these young men losing their lives. So these boys, I should say, kids, you know what I mean? They were both only 13 years old. One had just had his 13th birthday. And it's crazy that they were just going over there to congratulate him for having his 13th birthday, man. And they was outside playing. Sad, man. Sad state of affairs when you have your kids living in the hood and stuff, and you never know what could happen, bro. Now, these guys, Marcus Crawford, Reginald Thomas, Ali Caldwell, Traydon Crawford, Richard Hollis, and DeKeithion Mobley, allegedly are the people who carried out the shooting, right? And talk about a group of the gang who couldn't shoot straight, if you could ever put it to picture. These cats look wild, man. Like, I wouldn't trust them with no kind of criminal operation, if boss man or not, man. But regardless, these are the people, man, who allegedly carried out, were responsible for the shooting. The Quante Sanders, or Midnight, his nickname is, he's allegedly in jail. So, that was his part in it, at least is what they're saying.
Investigators did not have any evidence that proves his client was involved or even in a gang.
I've been photographed with Chief Justice John Roberts. Am I a member of the Supreme Court?
Is the Supreme Court a gang?
Well, they're affiliated in fact. There's 3 or more members, and if any of them commits a crime, you would say they're in a gang, right?
If they commit criminal street gang activity.
Yeah, some of the back and forth that we saw during cross-examination. Now, again.
All right, so his reasoning was, well, you see me with this group, this doesn't make me a part of their group, does it? And basically saying that his client isn't in the gang. That's what he's going to stand on because he was hanging out with some gangsters.
This is going to...
Bruh. I don't know if that's going to work, but, man, let's go.
To continue next Monday at 12:30, and at that point, the judge will decide if there's enough evidence for these suspects to stand trial. We're live in downtown Atlanta. Michael Seiden, Channel 2 Action News.
All right, so what we're going to see is they're basically going to be standing trial the rest of this week, and then we're going to see if there was enough evidence for them to actually go to trial, like be officially convicted or, officially indicted on these charges. Now, investigator Viverito is on the stand. We are listening to wiretap calls. Someone mentioned that Lil Baby had tickets on some people's heads. Now, that was a video that we played earlier where they're just basically alleging that Lil Baby was out here putting bags on people's heads. Now, at this point, that's where we are with this case, man. Now, should Lil Baby be worried about any of this or any of these rumors? Yes. Ain't no way in the world his name is getting mentioned in court and he shouldn't be worried. Should his lawyers fight it out? And I know he's got the best legal team out there in Atlanta. He's got some of the best lawyers. I think he's with, he might be with Drew Finland or one of those guys, one of these power lawyers in the hip hop industry. So, man, yes, that's a little bit of ease. But from everything, including that story and how they pieced this together, you can tell they have confidential informants everywhere. They've got people involved in this everywhere who are going to testify against either Lil Baby and 4PF or these guys who are currently in court now to see if there's stand trial for these charges. It's just all bad. And what brought a lot of this heat, and what bringing this national attention, is the murder of those two young boys. Let's be for real. If it was gangsters shooting gangsters, they'll get to it when they get to it. Because there were 3 people shot the day that Lil Baby shot that music video. And it really was, they were probably investigating and looking for what happened. But regardless of that, once these 2 young men these 2 kids lost their life, that really set things ablaze, man. And it's going to bring this thing to a screeching halt. Now, crazy enough, I can't show the picture, but I recently saw a picture of some of the Goodfellas members and some of the 4PF members getting into it in jail, behind bars. And some dudes were getting treated bad in there, bruh.
Stop it. Get some help.
I mean bad, bruh. Like, bad. Like, people standing on them, like, if I could describe it without getting, it was bad, man. So it doesn't look like this beef between these people is gonna heal up anytime soon, man. Now, another story that kicked off from this whole Lil Baby thing, before we get to that, is this right here that I want to get to, man. And this is from Thugger Daily. They commonly post a lot of the things that happen with Young Thug. And there was a post made by Young Thug where he talked about, it looks like they took it down. Well, Young Thug has spoke out against that DA. He said that she was the most lioness DA out there. You know what I mean? This DA pictured right here. And he had made a post about that. And I guess wisely he took that post down, right? But he was basically saying that DA be lying, or is one of the most lioness DAs there is out there. And I don't know what he means by that, because, I ain't to say a prosecutor can't lie, but their career is on the line with them telling the truth. Bending the truth? Possibility. An outright lie? I don't know.
Bruh.
Maybe. I don't see where Young Thug would lie about that, man. You know what I mean? But he obviously had a bad run-in with that DA.